inaugural session of ICAL 2026. Dear audience, I, Dr. Sidra Mahmood, have the honor of welcoming you all on the behalf of Department of English Linguistics and Literature, Rifa International University, Islamabad, to this two-day online international conference on applied linguistics. Among our audience, I clearly see two groups. On one hand, we have international and national scholars and researchers whose contribution provide interdisciplinary insights into contemporary and future research trends. On the other hand, we have a large group of students, young researchers, who look up to their teachers with high expectations and aspire to become scholars and embracing what I call 2026. Without further delay, we begin the conference in the name of Allah and listen to a few verses from the Holy Quran.
من آياته ومن إن في ذلك لآيات لقوم يسمعون ومن آياته يريكم البرق خوفا وطمعا وينزل من السماء ماء ومن آياته يريكم البرق خوفا وطمعا وينزل من السماء ماء فيحيي به الأرض بعد موتها إن في ذلك لآيات لقوم يعقلون
صدق الله العظيم.
Jazakallah. Thank you for the We seek the blessings of Allah for the success of all our endeavors. Ameen. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the national anthem. Thank you. Please be seated. Dear audience, now we begin the inaugural session of ICAL 2026 with a welcome address. It is my honor to introduce Professor Dr. Abdul Hamid Bidisek, Professor and Dean of Faculty of Management Sciences at Riba International University, Islamabad. Dr. Abdul Hamid is a distinguished scholar of Quranic exegesis, tafsir, holding a PhD from Marmara University, Istanbul. His PhD research focused on Urdu tafsir of Indo-Pak subcontinent, reflecting his strong engagement with regional academic traditions. He currently serves as a professor of tafsir and Quranic sciences at Marmara University and has previously held key academic and administrative positions, including dean at Pamukkale University and visiting professor and acting dean at International Islamic University, Islamabad. A prolific researcher, Dr. Abdul Hamid has authored numerous influential works and contributed extensively to the Turkish Encyclopedia of Islam. He is also an HEC approved PhD supervisor and has supervised the PhD researchers in Turkey and Pakistan. May I now invite Professor Dr. Abdul Hamid to deliver a welcome note.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وعلم آدم الأسماء كلها ثم عرضهم على الملائكة فقال أنبئوني بأسماء هؤلاء إن كنتم صادقين. And he taught Adam the names, all of them. Then he presented them to the angels and said, tell me the names of these if you are sincere. They said, glory be to you. We have no knowledge except what you have taught us. It is you who are knowledgeable, the wise. He said, O Adam, tell them the names. And when he told them their names, he said, did I not tell you that I know the secrets of the heavens and earth, and that I know what you reveal and what you conceal? Distinguished keynote speakers, respected scholars, honored guests, members of organizing committee, dear participants, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum. It is great honor and privilege for me to welcome you all to the International Conference on Applied Linguistics. I extend my sincere appreciation to Head of Department, to the organizing team for their commitment and dedication to continuing this valuable academic tradition. This conference marks the fifth consecutive year of ICAL, reflecting our institution's strong commitment to academic excellence, research culture, and international scholarly engagement. Over the years, ICAL has developed into a significant platform for intellectual exchange, bringing together researchers, practitioners, and academics from diverse backgrounds to share social sciences and humanities, stands as the largest faculty, playing a central role in promoting research, innovation, and academic growth. Within this faculty, we have four departments with the name of Department of English, Linguistics, and Literature, and they hold a particularly significant and vibrant position in the faculty and the university. These departments known for their academic rigor, research contributions, and active engagement in scholarly activities such as this conference. The department operates across multiple campuses, including I-14 Islamabad and Gulbergan Islamabad, and extend its academic presence to other major cities in the country, including Sahiwal and Gujranwala. I am especially pleased to highlight that the Islamabad campus has successfully established a comprehensive academic framework in linguistics, offering not only PS program but also advanced MPhil and PhD programs. The ICAL 26 conference builds upon this strong academic foundation. It serves as a platform to discuss contemporary issues, explore innovative perspectives, and strengthen collaboration in the field of applied linguistics, particularly in the context of the rapidly evolving digital age. In the current era of globalization and rapid digital transformation, applied linguistics has emerged as a highly significant and dynamic field that addresses real-world language-related challenges across educational, professional, and social domains. It plays a crucial role in areas such as language teaching and learning, discourse analysis, translation studies, language policy, and intercultural communication. In increasingly multilingual and digitally mediated societies, applied linguistics helps bridge communication gaps, enhance language accessibility, and support inclusive practices. Its relevance is particularly evident in addressing issues related to second language acquisition, language assessment, and the integration of technology in language education, thereby contributing to more effective and equitable communication in diverse global contexts. In recent years, applied linguistics has evolved into a distinct and interdisciplinary domain through the integration of innovative research methodologies and emerging areas of inquiry. Contemporary research has expanded into fields such as corpus linguistics, computational linguistics, social, socio-linguistics, critical discourse analysis, and artificial intelligence in, in language education. Studies on digital communication, online learning environments, multimodal discourse, and language use in social media have further strengthened its scope and relevance. This growing body of research not only reflects the adaptability of applied linguistics, but also highlights its role in responding to modern challenges, making it a vibrant and ever evolving discipline that continues to scale academic scholarship and practical applications alike. I am confident that this conference will continue the tradition of excellence established over the past years and will generate insightful discussions and impactful outcomes. In conclusion, I warmly welcome all participants and wish you a productive and enriching experience. May this conference further strengthen our shared commitment to knowledge, research, and academic collaboration. Thank you for all. Thank you all for your kind cooperation with the Rifa International University and its academic units. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Dr. Abdul Hamid, for such a warm welcome. Now, I would like to invite Dr. Muhammad Abdullah Beg, head of the department and one of the focal persons, Department of English, Linguistics and Literature, Rifa International University, Islamabad, to deliver the introduction of the conference. Dr. Abdullah has extensive teaching experience in leading universities such as National University of Modern Languages, Rawalpindi, Islamic International University, Islamabad, Foundation University, Rawalpindi. He has over 6 research publications, including more than 20 category journals. He has earned a significant citation for his work. He completed his PhD in English linguistics from National University of Modern Languages Islamabad, focusing on grammatic losses in English translation of the Holy Quran. His research area includes applied linguistics, translation studies, medium of instruction, semantics, pragmatics, and language and gender. Please welcome Dr. Muhammad Abdullah Beg.
إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. ليس للإنسان إلا ما سعى. اللهم يسر لنا ولا تؤسر لنا وتمم بالخير. Respected Chief Guest, Professor Dr. Janina Ayub Haji, a distinguished professor and mentor. Honorable Professor Dr. Abdul Hamid, Dean Faculty of Social Sciences and Humanities, worthy keynote speakers, presenters, respectable faculty members, conference organizing committee members, moderators, participants, our PhD, MPhil, and PS students. As a focal person of the conference and head of the Department of English Linguistics and Literature, I welcome you all to the 5th International Conference on Applied Linguistics. I am confident that this conference will help the participants to switch to innovative areas of research, inshallah. Following the tradition of ICAL, this platform provides space for researchers and scholars to present their applied research addressing social issues. With the expansion of interdisciplinary research in English language teaching, linguistics, and literature, ICAL welcomes the scholars and researchers to present their research-based perspectives. The conference aims to motivate the researchers from these disciplines to share their applicable findings on how language can be a solution to the prevalent local and global challenges. To achieve this goal, this time, ICAL invited abstracts on 11 different themes. Let me mention the themes here. Number 1, AI impact on language and literature. Number 2, communication in healthcare discourse. Number 3, discourse, representation, and prejudices. Number 4, ecolinguistics and ecological narratives. Number 5, emerging trends in translation studies. Number 6, global perspectives in English language teaching. Number 7, language endangerment. Number 8, language, gender, and power. Number 9, language, law, and justice in the perspective of contemporary trends in forensic linguistics. Number 10, language policy, predicaments, and the way forward. Number 11, language, mind, and brain. Dear all, a good number of abstracts were received before the closing date of submission. However, only 35% of the abstracts were selected for the final presentation. The goal of the selection process was to choose those abstracts which carry practical and applied research value in the fields of linguistics and literature. We have presenters from Algeria, Malaysia, Morocco, Nigeria, Oman, Kuwait, Qatar, India, Russia, USA, Singapore, and of course, Pakistan. The conference mainly focuses to bring together the scholars and interdisciplinary research experts of English linguistics, linguistics in general, and literature to interact and discuss the contemporary and future research trends. One of the important aspects of the conference is to provide them with an opportunity to collaborate in interdisciplinary research. Apart from this, ICAL 26 added 11 different themes, as I have mentioned earlier, that are closely related to the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. It may help the teachers, students, and researchers to develop an insight into these themes for their ongoing or future research. The Department of English Linguistics and Literature would like to express its appreciation for the logistic and financial support provided by the university administration, especially the management offices, operation department, finance department, procurement department, media and IT departments. Last but not the least, I would also like to extend my special thanks to all the scholars, researchers, and students who sent their abstracts for ICAL 2026. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, we now move towards our first keynote speech. It is my great honor to introduce our keynote speaker, Professor Dr. Rasima Shahzad, Dean, Faculty of Social Sciences at Air University, Islamabad. Professor Dr. Rasima Shahzad is a distinguished educationist, researcher, and academic leader. She is a Fulbright alumna of the University of Michigan, USA, and a senior fellow of the Michigan State University Women's Leadership. And a senior fellow of Michigan State University Women's Leadership in Higher Education program. She actively contributes to national academic development as a member of HEC British Council Research Excellence Framework for Pakistan and HEC Women Mentorship Program. She has an impressive record of scholarly contributions, including internationally published books and numerous research papers in reputable journals. She has been invited as a keynote speaker and distinguished speaker at conferences across the globe, including in the United States, China, Turkey, Japan, and beyond. Professor Dr. Shahzad has also led several impactful national and international projects and is the founder of Pakistan's first Corpus Research Center. She currently serves as chief editor of two academic journals and is widely recognized for her work in research, teacher education, discourse studies, and higher education. Today, she will be speaking on the topic Media Won't Tell You CDA in the Age of Misinformation. Please join me in formally welcoming Professor Dr. Rasima Shahzad. Dr. Latifa, are you with us?
Yes, a very good morning. Assalamu alaikum to all those who are at the university and those who are with us virtually. First of all, I would like to say congratulations and thank you to Dr. Anis, Dr. Shahina Bhatti, Dr. Hamid, and Dr. Abdullah for organizing this conference and giving me the opportunity to talk to you and be amongst the academia who are present today discussing various topics. I would now, when you look at the title, Media Won't Tell You, this is something that all of us are facing today. We see what is happening around us. We see lots of criticism and then lots of information. As we say, this is the age of information. This is the age of data. And most of the time, we are left in a kind of state where we question ourselves whether the information that we are receiving, should we believe it or not? What is it? And most of the time, it is misinformation. And here, as linguists, we've been talking about CDA, critical discourse analysis, for years now, for decades. And we've been studying and teaching. But this is the time when we need CDA for our practical life, for everyday life. Because CDA helps unpack how misinformation is not just incorrect content, but it is a discursive strategy that shapes beliefs, identities, and power relations through language. Misinformation works because it uses powerful linguistic and discursive strategies, not simply because the facts are missing from that piece of misinformation. So, misinformation and manipulations rely on, could you go to the next slide, please? On presuppositions, evaluative adjectives. If you see presuppositions, evaluative adjectives, lexical framing, stance, metaphor, grammatical agency, identity building pronouns, multimodal packaging, and emotionally loaded vocabulary that influence interpretation, therefore facts are checked. For example, a very simple tweet that the government is hiding the real numbers. The government is hiding the real, let's say, the number of the ships, oil ships that reached or that were allowed to pass by the Strait of Hormuz. Now here, when we use the word, when the word real is used, that presupposes that the official data is fake. And secondly, when we look at the word hiding, that implies deliberate deception. So CD reveals how linguistic framing constructs distrust and fear. Next slide, please. CD highlights how truth is produced through language, not only by institutions, but also by influencers. These days, this is the age of influencers, where vloggers and YouTubers, and they may not be expert, but these are the people who have become influenced because of their fan following, and people follow them, and people trust them and believe them. But we need, again, to be very careful about the contents and how to decipher it. Alternative media and online communities, and how do they work? How do they get that influence? Through authority, and that authority is built by using various linguistic strategies, for example, by the use of the modal verbs, through the impersonal constructions. It is known that, for example, nominalizations. And for example, here, if you look at this slide, there is an example at the bottom where it says, it is obvious the mainstream media is lying. So through the use of the words like it is obvious, it is considered that the influencer, the YouTuber, or the person who's using that is signaling epistemic certainty. So that mainstream media becomes a monolithic ideological villain. And CD exposes how grammatical constructs credibility and counter authority. Next slide, please. And then we use the discursive strategies, and we need to understand which are those. So they use narrative and radical devices, simplification, polarization, and emotional triggers through the use of the pronouns, for example, the manipulation of pronouns through the use of us versus them. Those who have studied post-colonialism and literature, they're very familiar with the how loaded these pronouns are. And many, for example, here I've quoted a sentence: "Many in the West would like to think of us as terrorists." And this has been happening since 9/11. Next, the use of the boosters and hedges. They control certainty. For example, the diplomat died of an apparent heart attack. Okay. For example, apparent, okay, that's certainly the decision was made, certainly. There is no doubt. Again, these are the boosters which are used to highlight the authority, to highlight the information that may be misinformation, that may not be correct information, but through the use of the boosters, these are made, people are made to believe that this is correct. Next, through the use of intimacy. Intimacy is created, for example, in this example that I have used in this slide at the bottom. Excuse me. Doctors don't want you to know the simple cure. Doctors don't want you to know. And we have seen that in the publicity videos which are around us, those who have joint pains, or those who have diabetes. These days, you would see that there are a number of videos, number of YouTubers who have become experts, and they would sell the products which are either herbal or self-created, and they would say, doctors don't want you to know this is a simple cure. And just by saying that the doctors are villains, they don't want you to know, or the pharmaceutical companies don't want you to know because they're earning money. So I'm with you, I'm telling you, I'm your friend. They create that intimacy, and this is how the misinformation is spread around. Next slide, please. Now here, this strategy is the using pseudo-evidence through technical jargon. When people use technical words, technical terminology, simple people like us, they tend to believe them. Here, if you look at the example at the bottom of the slide, it is about tires. Liberty Rubber's new tires contain deuterium bonding material that makes these tires wear for years. And we tend to believe that something technical is there, so probably this is true. Or through if you look at the right visual, that says what actually happens. And such slides, such visuals are used off and on, not off and on, they use frequently to make people believe in the information, especially related to the information, the videos which are related to health, or which are related to the beauty products. Next slide, please. These are some of the terminologies which are used as the disease metaphors in the medical and health profession. Next slide. Here, these are the causal connectors implying false logic. How does logic and false logic play? You see, there are different things. When there is one event, and it is made to believe that the other thing was caused by, this is one simple cause and effect relationship. But then sometimes we are made to believe that two events happening at the same time caused the other one. For example, these days, what is happening, everybody is suffering from the price hike of the petrol. And people are made to believe that it's because of the war or it is because of the economic condition. So either it is because of the war, or what is the fact? We need to understand, we have to decipher the fact that the price hike is because of the war, or price hike is because of the already existing economic conditions of the country. Or the cause may be somewhere else. It may be because of the social or political problems of the country. Or it could be a far-reaching cause, which was, a distant cause because of the other governments, or because of the previous actions which were taken, or the wrong policies which were followed. Similarly, if you look at the causal connections like because, therefore, since, as a result of, consequently, these can imply false logic when used without sufficient evidence of a causal link. So avoiding these fallacies requires questioning assumptions and seeking adequate evidence and alternative explanations. Sports drinks, and in sports also, we see the advertisements, for example, these days, I think, what is this, string, or these fizzy drinks that say you hold that fizzy drink, you drink it, and you can climb up the mountains. Maybe you can reach the summit of the Mount Everest. You become a macho man after drinking that fuzzy drink. So these are the things which are used. Next slide, please, for the spread of misinformation. Okay, similarly, product endorsements. For example, we see in the, especially in the beauty products that, or in the sports products, or somebody famous, a person comes and he would endorse that, yes, I use that, and that's why, For example, we see Shahid Afridi there, we see Wasim, the cricketers are there endorsing a number of products. So people, just because people believe those personalities, those characters, so they tend to believe that the products are also to be trusted, and the message which is given through them is also to be trusted. Next slide, please. As I gave you the examples of the health, the metaphors used in the health profession, these are some of the metaphors used in the environmental warfare and battlefield. For example, we keep using the word digital wildfires, battling lies, truth versus lies, information warfare, digital or keyboard warriors, echo chambers, filter bubbles, deepfakes, gaslighting. Next slide, please. Now, why are they used? The emergencies. For example, this visual, now, not later. The person you see in this picture is running. So such visuals are created to simplify complexity, to make abstract threats tangible and understandable, to create urgency, stress the harmfulness and need for immediate action. Ye, abhi kare, abhi, now, do it now, breaking, otherwise you will die. Aaj petrol khatam ho jayega Pakistan mein, there will be no petrol. All the petrol pumps will be closed today. या सुबह आपको जो है आपके घर I mean, when you wake up in the morning, you will find yourself living in a stone house. या आप झोंपड़ी में सुबह जागेंगे. So creating those kind of emergencies, they shape perceptions. And that is the problem. When they shape perceptions, we have to understand that what is the problem and what is the solution, or is it just a false emergency which has been created? Next slide, please. So when we are analyzing the language, we see not only the visual, not only the semiotics, but also the language. How does it play through very simple means, like in the text, all caps are used, not only the headlines, not only the captions, but for certain words, all caps are used, and they suggest urgency. And then hashtags are used as discursive indexing, and emojis. We are all familiar with emojis, their power and their signaling stance. How do they act? And in Pakistan, emojis is I think these days is the very powerful means of communication and narrative building strategy. Then short, explosive sentence structures are used. YouTubers, breaking, they keep, this breaking has broken me actually, and kind of tired and fed up by looking at the breaking. You can't actually differentiate between what is really important or what is not important. If you see the television channels these days, all the news channels, they have the breaking news throughout the day, and you don't know what is the urgency, or what is the new, or what is the old, and which one to believe and which one not to believe. And they use the words like economy collapsed next week. Pakistan runs out of fuel tomorrow, or the world war has started or is going to start tomorrow. So all caps, exclamation marks, they signal alarms. Then they use predictive future tense to create, again, false temporal certainty. CDA helps us analyze how platform grammar shapes both spread and perception. Next slide, please.
This is the last minute of the presentation. If you
Okay.
could please.
Yes.
Thank you.
Clickbait. You must be familiar with clickbait. These are the where you click. Okay, these are the shocking claims, inside secrets. You won't believe it. You won't believe what scientists discovered. You won't believe what the child star is doing. You won't believe you can ace the interview. Next slide, please. Now here, one simple trick. Quick fixes are there. You can fix you can get your PhD by these 5 simple steps, simple as that, making it. And the secrets of publishing a paper. Here is why you are not able to get published in a highly reputed journal. So these are some of the strategies which are used for catching people, for spreading misinformation, and we are not able to differentiate between facts and non-facts. And as I said earlier, through the use of inclusive pronouns, then mitigated modality, then meta-discursive cues, narrative reframing, and through the verbs, reporting verbs, recontextualization, risk, presuppositions, choices of metaphors. So let me conclude by saying that misinformation thrives not simply because false claims exist, but because they are embedded in discourses that strategically shape perception, identity, and power. By examining language at every level, from word choice and metaphor to grammatical agency, stance taking, and multimodal design, CDA reveals the subtle yet powerful mechanisms through which misinformation becomes believable, memorable, and socially consequential. In this sense, CDA provides essential tools for understanding not only what misinformation says, but how it says, and why certain narratives resonate so strongly within specific social and ideological contexts. As digital platforms accelerate circulation, amplify emotional content, and blur boundaries between authoritative and non-authoritative voices, the linguistic and discursive dimensions of misinformation become even more crucial to examine. CDA helps illuminate the role of language in constructing in-groups and out-groups, the use of modality to create false certainty, the deployment of multimodal cues to signal urgency and legitimacy, and the narrative structures that transform complex realities into simplified moral dramas. Ultimately, analyzing misinformation through a critical discourse lens underscores the need for counter-narratives that address not only factual inaccuracies, but also the linguistic, emotional, and relational dynamics that sustain them. Such an approach can inform more effective communication strategies, enhance public resilience to manipulation, and support the development of more effective democratic discourse cultures. In times when the politics of language
Dr. Vasima, thank you very much.
increasingly define the politics of truth, CDA remains an indispensable resource for understanding and challenging misinformation in all its forms. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Dr. Vasima Shehzad, for such an insightful keynote. We will have the question answer session at the end of this inaugural session. Your talk has truly highlighted the critical role of critical discourse analysis in uncovering hidden narratives and navigating information in today's media landscape. It has given us much to reflect upon as a researcher and educator. Ladies and gentlemen, moving forward, we are honored to welcome our next keynote speaker, Professor Dr. Muhammad Shaban Rafi. Dr. Shaban is a professor in the Department of English at Rifa International University, Lahore. He has also served as postdoc researcher at University of California, Santa Barbara, USA, and has gained valuable research experience from prestigious institutions, including Cardiff University, the University of Singapore, and George Mason University. He has supervised numerous PhD and MPhil theses in the recipients of several national and international research awards and grants. His teaching and research interest includes applied linguistics, discourse studies, media, and language education. Today, he will be speaking on the topic Generative AI in dissertation writing, applications, limitations, and the need for the prompt literacy. Please join me in warmly welcoming Professor Dr. Muhammad Shaban Rafi.
To you and
Yes, Dr. Shaban.
perfect. Great. Assalamu alaikum, and I extend my heartfelt congratulations to the entire DELL team, especially under the able leadership of Dr. Muhammad Abdullah, for organizing this conference and for inviting me. Being here truly at DELL Rifa Islamabad always feels like connecting with my professional family and like coming home. I'm so pleased to see galaxy of scholars like Dr. Vasima, Dr. Arusa, Dr. Emina, and so many other fellows, and Assalamu alaikum to all of them. I will be talking on, as Dr. Sidra has already mentioned, generative AI in dissertation writing, application, limitation, and the need for prompt literacy. I will try to finish my presentation on time. I have been working on dissertation writing, the topic of dissertation writing for a really long time now. And then it switched to AI when AI started influencing our writing, art and craft. So as an editor of artificial intelligence in education, frontiers of digital education, the imprint of Emerald and Springer Nature, I gathered some experience which I would like to present to you with the help of these slides. So the first thing I would like to highlight and want to invite attention of my participants, especially those MPhil and PhD students. The core purpose of dissertation or thesis writing is the production of new knowledge, improvement in reading and writing skills, developing creative and critical thinking, learning about the community of practice with a focus on specific epistemological foundations like behaviorism, cognitivism, and some contemporary methods and practices. From educators' perspective, thesis writing is assessing and evaluating students' learning and, of course, the readiness for the practical world. I have been writing about the importance of dissertation writing for quite some time now. The purpose of this talk is to review how much students' core take away from traditional dissertation writing, which was once when AI was not invented, to AI-assisted dissertation writing, which I believe, and I'm under assumption, all students, faculty members, irrespective of who they are utilizing AI. And what can be done given the limited resources in Pakistani higher education context? When I say limited resources, I'm under the impression Pakistani universities do not provide license to students or faculty. They are struggling, they are making their own struggle to utilize these AI tools. So there is no proper subscription to these so many tools which are cropping up in higher education for teaching, learning, and assessment. So for a wealth of knowledge, we are not aware of what is that. And I'm sure you know and you understand for free, you know how much we can get and for how long we can get. So this IT new innovation is all, revenue stream, and those companies really want to generate revenue. And if you want to benefit, you must think about getting a license. And this suggestion is not for just educators, but this is for teachers and those who really want to comment on AI. I believe they must get, first of all, lessons of these technological gadgets, platforms, and then probably they will experience the whole intricacies and ins and out of these tools to comment on. So walk into any university in Pakistan and you will see students producing assignments, presentations, and exam scripts that look like impressively neat and complete. Yet beneath this appearance lies a question: how much real learning has taken place? And we all ask this question constantly as an educator. The real learning is shadowed by imposter syndrome. Let me say imposter syndrome. That what is that? That AI writing is better than what I have produced. So when I give anything to AI gives me its own version, and I begin to believe in this is the best. Or I am not cheating, but I'm typing AI generated output. Of course, when you generate something, you're typing out of it, you think, I'm not borrowing, but I am typing. Eventually, we begin to slip on a slope and lose our voice. And I will tell you how we're going to lose our voice later. But because AI gladly provides the quick start and may mask the psychological needs such as morality, ethics, integrity, personal accountability, when we generate a content and assume it is our own content, we start slipping into having a large language models generate draw for us. Interestingly, we convince ourselves that I only use AI to proofread, rewrite, or type word by word its output. The stage soon arrives when we can hardly think about AI without AI. The stage soon arrives when we hardly think about AI. And sarcastically speaking, instead of using AI for dissertation writing, ladies and gentlemen, AI begin to use us and mask local, cultural with global standards. And it begin to write us. Instead, we are writing. So AI begin to write us. So with this backdrop in my mind, I thought to bring this question to you. This presentation explores where, when, and how generative AI, when I say Gen AI, I mean generative AI, can be used in doctoral dissertation writing while addressing the pragmatic demands of prompt literacy. So I followed this methodological perspective. The data was taken from students, doctoral MPhil students, and also from thesis supervisors from all over the countries with a focus on social and human sciences disciplines. I applied discursive thematic analysis, which I think that I have invented over the period of time, where I can blend two traditional approaches, discourse analysis and thematic analysis, and putting them into coherent whole to make TDA, discursive thematic analysis, that combines thematic analysis with discursive analysis. Bridging these two approaches allow to examine what meaning recur and how these meanings are linguistically, culturally, and ideologically produced. This is very important. When we give input to large language model, it has an imprint of globalized, generalized, ideological, cultural, and linguistic imprint in our writing, which probably very few of us understand. So whether LLMs have tendencies to produce generalized and global approved codes, discursive thematic analysis will help us to look into these aspects that Dr. Vasima has already pointed out regarding discourse, ability or capacity to look at hidden meaning. So what are the applications of dissertation writing? So this brain shows you like AI can be used for writing, for improving mechanics of writing, for editing, and for thinking process. You can have a dialogue with AI, and you can also improve your thinking. It can provide you a baseline. Many scholars think so. It can provide you real-time feedback when your supervisor is not available. It may help you in structuring the argument, or maybe initially or surface level defining coding frame, maybe data analysis, but that may be require human validation. We'll be talking about this. So there are limitations. With all these applications, which I have mentioned discretely, these are the areas where AI is a help. These are the areas which I want you to pay attention, more attention. AI hallucinates. It fabricates information and erodes trust. AI misinterprets. Cultural contextual error arises. Lack depth and critical thinking. Reduce personal intellectual efforts. Raises ethical academic issues. So these are some limitations of AI. When I just revisit about these applications and limitation of AI, I realize, and I must acknowledge that the use of AI in dissertation writing has revised the order of challenges that we used to face in thesis writing once upon a time. There was a time when dissertation writing was quite a challenge, and those challenges were different. Probably mechanic of writing was a challenge, probably literature review was a challenge, probably brainstorming was a challenge, or creating a baseline was a challenge. AI has helped us in breaking these or addressing these challenges, but it has produced a new set of challenges which we cannot think. It has reversed those challenges like integrity, like plagiarism, similarity, hallucination, ethics, integrity. These were not a question in traditional AI writing time, but now we are facing these challenges. And I want our educators, learners, and university to be aware of these challenges and how to address these challenges in their classroom. Of course, I'm not against the application of AI. AI must be integrated in supervising research and in training learners for this highly technological world, but it should be with some ethics, literacy. So, cycle of AI integration in doctoral pedagogy. So drawing from, this is what I believe, this is something very crucial and important, because we cannot de-link ourselves with our roots or traditional methods that we used to apply to inspire learner in a classroom discourse. So drawing from classical philosophy and contemporary AI research, I suggest prompt engineering, when designed with intentionality, awareness, mirror the function of Socratic dialogue and guiding, inquiring, provoking, reflection, scaffolding, conceptual understanding. These are not just abstract words. They are very important perspectives that Socrates used to hold. So Socrates questions such as what, where, when, how, when, why originate in the dialogue of Plato and the teaching of Socrates represent one of the earliest systemic approach to guided inquiry. Socrates did not convey knowledge in form of declarative instructions. Instead, he posed carefully crafted questions that encouraged his interlocutors to examine their beliefs, challenges, assumptions, arrive at a deeper understanding through reflective reasoning. And this is the best way to reflect dialogue with generative AI. So, ladies and gentlemen, I would recommend you, when you go back home and think what is your takeaway from my conversation and presentation, I would say you reflect on Socrates dialogue, apply it when you interact with AI, and ask it questions. And this is how you can generate meaningful learning. So generative AI is increasingly transforming the process of doctoral dissertation writing. However, its benefits remains uneven and context dependent. The finding of this study emphasized that human agency must remain central to doctoral research because critical reasoning, cultural interpretation, ethical judgment cannot be replaced by algorithm systems. The effective use of generative AI depends on scholarly ability to develop prompt literacy, which enables them to craft precise prompts, obtain academic, meaningful outputs. So the universities must introduce structured training program. Let me re-emphasize structured training program. Do not leave it to the educators, okay, do whatever you want to do, or to give them directions or instructions as it relegates from HEC and to the faculty member, and you know what could be its effect and impact. Learn a clear institutional policy to guide the responsible integration of AI tool in doctoral master education, I mean MPhil or undergrad education, while maintaining that generative AI enhances research excellence while preserving academic integrity. While working on such a policy framework, revamping traditional assessment practices which focus on polished content instead of promoting creative and critical thinking. Teachers must celebrate originality in their classroom. I have already mentioned so in our last meeting, the department meeting. So in doing so, they can value creative and critical thinking over AI generated polished text. So our goal should be the process of writing, then the product of writing, and think about how much creative, critical thinking my learners have acquired. So AI generated work must be discouraged with relatively low grades. You may disagree with me. So this is what I am, and here you are some essential readings. If you want to know more about how to implement AI in dissertation writing, I would like to request the conference organizers to share the paper which I published on the same theme, and to share with the participants. And if there is any question, I'm keeping the finger crossed. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Professor Dr. Shaban Rafi, for such an insightful and engaging presentation. Your talk has provided valuable perspective on the role of generative AI in academic writing, particularly highlighting both its potential and its limitation, as well as the growing importance of prompt literacy for researchers. Moving forward, we are honored to welcome our next keynote speaker, Professor Dr. Arusa Kamal. Professor Dr. Arusa Kaval is a professor of English literature and chairperson of Department of English at Quaid-e-Azam University, Islamabad, Pakistan. She earned her PhD in English from the University of Lancaster in 2020 and completed a doctoral fellowship at Lancaster University, UK 2015 to 2020. She's the author of Rehumanizing Muslim Subjectivities, Post-Colonial Geographies, Post-Colonial Ethics, Routledge 2024, Contemporary Pakistani Speculative Fiction and Global Imaginary, Democratizing Human Features, Routledge 2024, the Routledge Comparison Companion to Pakistani Anglophone Writing, Routledge 2019, and Rethinking Identities in Contemporary Pakistani Fiction, Beyond 9/11, Belgrave 2015, which received the CLF Coca-Cola Award for Best Non-Fiction Book of the Year 2015. She has also published numerous research papers in leading national and international journals. Professor Dr. Kamal is the recipient of 2018 UK Alumni Professional Achievement Award and was finalist for the UK Alumni Culture and Creativity Award 2023. She is also serving as a manuscript and project reviewer for leading publishers, including Routledge, Belgrave, Sage, as well as projects funded by HF Guggenheim Foundation and UNESCO. Her talk is titled Fighting Bodies, Fighting Words, Trafficking, Terror, and Sexual Violence of Myanmar Muslims. We warmly invite everyone to join the session and benefit from her insightful perspectives on this critical subject. Yes, Dr. Shahira. Assalamu alaikum.
May I request everyone to turn on their cameras so that we can take a group photograph before Professor Arusa Kamal starts to speak?
Sure, I request everyone to please switch on their cameras. Thank you.
I need to smile, by the way. Assalamu alaikum, Dr. Seema. How are you?
My apologies, Dr. Arusa, but I thought this would be a good moment to take a group photograph since we can't be there in person.
That was amazing. That was amazing. Hope you're doing great.
Alhamdulillah.
All right. Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Rifa, for the opportunity to share my talk on the sexual violence of Myanmar Muslims, and particularly Myanmar Muslim women, with the community at Rifa and beyond. Michel Foucault on the genealogy of ethics writes that from the idea that the self is not given to us, I think there is only one practical consequence. We have to create ourselves as a work of art. To me, Foucault's idea makes complete sense in relation to traumatized generations of Rohingyas Muslims in Myanmar, sometimes known as boat people, who have continuously been denied a dignified self and full humanity in their own land by being labeled as illegal immigrants. So Rohingyas have never been included in the 135 ethnic groups recognized by Burmese government, and they're often referred to as Bengalis, which equates to denying their existence as an indigenous population. This hardline Muslim stance continued after Burma, now Myanmar, gained independence in 1948, as they, from the last 8 decades, have been denied not only the citizenship rights, but also the freedom of movement, in addition to being subjected to eviction campaigns, forced labor, expulsion from their lands and property, violence against women, and dehumanization. Despite this inhuman treatment of the Rohingya Muslims, international human rights organizations have failed to persuade Myanmar Buddhist governments to treat them with compassion, let alone grant this persecuted minority any rights. And it is against this backdrop that this talk focuses on the ways in which fictional representations by Rohingya Muslim writers open up spaces for new understandings and becomings for rightless both people. And I'm really interested in foregrounding Rohingya's own voices. And to the best of my knowledge, only 3 works have been published by Rohingya Muslims to date, which include Habibur Rahman's First They Raised Our Name, A Rohingya Speaks, Mumtaz Musa Saleh's Rohingya, The Souled Dream, and Mayo Ali's Exodus, Between Genocide and Me. And these texts can be seen as sites of becoming while constructing the affirmative ethics for Muslim Rohingya subjects. The Rohingyas, as I've already said, have been subject to genocidal moves since 1948 in the name of establishing a radically pure state. A Buddhist monk, Ashin Virathu, describes Islam as a dangerous and fearful poison that is severe enough to eradicate all civilization. And according to him, Muslims are like African carp who breed quickly, and they're violent and they eat their own kind. And because Burmese people and Buddhists, they are devoured every day, so the national religion needs to be protected. And he's even gone to the extent of calling Rohingya Muslim mad dogs and poisonous snakes. And given this horrendous racist violence unleashed against the Rohingyas, they're forced to cross borders to seek refuge in Bangladesh, in Thailand, and Malaysia. But these are generally the places where children separated from their parents are made to sleep on concrete floors in cells and cages, and they are without any adequate food, water, and sanitation. This is just a snippet of the hateful ethnic and religious intolerance towards Rohingyas, which led the UN Security Council to declare Burma a threat to regional security due to increasing military violence against civilian population, which includes gang rapes and sexual humiliation, sexual slavery, forced nudity, and terrorizing civilians, followed by Rohingyas' killings by soldiers who castigate them as subhumans. And this has indubitably given rise to a trend, namely genocidal passion among Burmese soldiers, and one of which is trafficking terror via sexual violence, as I will now discuss with reference to Mumtaz Musa Saleh's emotionally laden testimonial, Rohingya, The Soul Dream. Let me begin with the concluding lines of the book, and I quote, "Death is easier than coming clean, and before I know it, I'm being deported back to Burma, where the cycle of torture will begin again. If you're reading this, help me. I beg you, help me. I don't need aid. I need you to spread my story in case I don't make it. I need you to tell my story so that Rohingya dream lives on. Tell my story to the children and women are no longer sold into sex work. Make our stories travel from the shores of Burma to the ends of the world. Be our voice to end this oppression. I stand in solidarity as you do with my sisters in Gaza and my children in Syria. Now you stand up for us, for the Rohingya. Help stop the Rohingya genocide in Burma," unquote. Now, these lines, which read like an appeal for readerly support and indubitably creates a strong bond of empathy between a diarist and a reader, reminds us of the ways in which textual assertion of helplessness can solicit agency. And in so doing, the narrative victimhood written by Rohingya seeks to exploit rather than transcend the damage of abuse, thereby proposing that agency and victimization can coexist. And this relationship between sexual violence and agency is flagged up by Sharon Marcus in Fighting Bodies, Fighting Words, which draws our attention to self-defeating tactics such as mutability and unspeakability of violence of rape by asking how the violence of rape is enabled by narratives and institutions which derive their strength not from outright unbeatable, immutable force, but rather from their power to structure our lives as imposing cultural scripts. Now, deconstructing cultural feminist stories surrounding sexual violence with an intention to create the possibility of change, Boyd asks a very pertinent question. In what ways are experiences of victimhood structured and deployed, and to what effect? And this resonates with the depiction of Rohingya women who, despite being physically and morally wronged by Burmese soldiers, are raising their voices against injustices as political act of breaking silence. There is a dearth of creative texts by Rohingya Muslims themselves. Nevertheless, a few lone voices not only pose ethical questions to the international community in relation to their responsibility towards ethnic group under threat, but also involve their readers as secondary witnesses to their traumatizing experiences with a hope for understanding and justice. And one such forceful plea is made in Rohingya, The Souled Dream, by the narrator Amina, who emphasizes the significance of raising her voice. And she says, and I quote, "Telling my story has been a treacherous journey full of danger, but if I remain silent, you will never know what it means to be me," unquote. And my keynote is also a humble effort to raise my voice against atrocities committed against Rohingyas in general and Rohingya girls and women in particular. Saleh's novel, written in the form of diary entries, is crucial in terms of its focus on the ways in which Rohingya Muslim women are subject to sexual violence and human trafficking in refugee camps. The narrator of the novella is 19 years old Amina, a victim of sexually invasive dehumanization. Unaware of where her parents are, Amina and her 22 years old Aisha are forced to run for their lives, but end up in various makeshift tents and concentration camps and IDP camps. Amina and Aisha are exposed to all kinds of horrendous conditions and inhuman treatment, but what makes this emotionally laden narrative such a painful read is the instances of uncountable gang rapes Aisha and Amina had to endure, a never-ending line of soldiers pleasuring themselves on illegal Bengali filth. That's the term used in the novel. Amina is so disgusted with this violation of the dignity that she does not even call those soldiers animals, because animals would never do such a thing. They are sadistic monsters. In Offshore Subjectivities and the Refusal to Heal, Boyd flags up the usefulness of life writing in mobilizing readerly participation, which emerges as a necessary textual element upon which both recovery and politics rely. The testimonial nature of life writing constructs the reader community these texts address, and in so doing, their witnessing becomes its own evidence of collective progress. To break silence is thus to begin a chain reaction, one triggered not just by factual content of the testimony, but by its performative enactment of courage, suffering, and expectation. Every woman who can share her experience with this ugly reality surely gives increased permission to others still frozen in silence. And Amina's story constantly makes the reader conscious of the failure of the fulfillment of her dreams, and that their stories must be kept alive. Amina urges a reader to visit Myanmar because one would have to see this place to believe it exists. Her painful narration of what she and her sister go through when the soldiers' glaring gazes make them feel like pieces of meat is the first step to breaking the silence. In Diary Entry 3, World, Can You Hear Me? Using second-person pronouns, Amina jolts her readers' consciousness by addressing them directly and narrating the naked truth of her and Aisha's traumatic experiences of sexual assault. She writes, and I quote, "The pain is unbearable. I hold my breath in the hope that I will pass out, but that does not happen. A soldier forces me down and forces himself on top of me. I turn my head and eyes fall upon Aisha, who is being raped. I feel sick and I want to die, hoping the bastards will kill me. They gang rape Aisha and I in the bus, a never-ending line of soldiers pleasuring themselves on an illegal Bengali field. With each soldier that comes on top of me and penetrates me, my spirit dies a little more as the 10th or 11th one pins me down. I realize that fighting back will only prolong the torture." Amina's description of Burmese soldiers seeking pleasure from illegal Bengali filth cannot be seen as barely rooted in men's sexual desire for gratification. This sexualized violence, which aims to target Rohingya women and girls, can be better understood as a genocidal rape, since its purpose is to dehumanize and objectify its women victims as if they are worms, parasites, and vermin which must be eliminated and killed. As Amina points out, you can hate them for burning down your home and stealing your land, but nothing will compare to the repulsion and humiliation you feel when they take away your dignity. When you're raped, you can never trust another person again. You lose all sense of humanity. Hargos rightly defines this as a soul murdering of the rape victim. In fact, being killed seems better option than being robbed of one's dignity. However, Saleh's novel challenges the victimhood associated with Rohingya women by uncoupling victimization from helplessness, because constitutive victimhood emphasizes the operation of a girl's agency, however limited or intermittent it may be within the context of abuse. As Boyd explains, conventional formulations of victimhood affix agency to the transcendence of recovery, imagining that a helpless victim becomes an agential survivor precisely to the degree that she can sever the links between self and abuse. In contrast, the post-conventional paradigm seeks agency in exploration and manipulation of those links. At the simplest level, this can take the form of unexpectedly locating things of worth amidst the destruction of abuse, something which Aisha does. When Amina breaks the news of pregnancy to Aisha, she was pretty sure that Aisha would want an abortion, but the news changed something inside her. Despite the fact a child was conceived in so much hate and anger and pain, it gains a special place in Aisha's life, and she was beginning to care about it. Amina convinces Aisha to get the child aborted, but Aisha explained that she can't have an abortion because the baby did not wrong her, and that this life inside her is a gift from God. Since rape is imbued with abuser's atrocious power to harm the victim, Aisha's transformation symbolizes her agency to challenge her abuser's aggressive power. My reading of Aisha's metamorphosis corroborates Marcus' observation that men assert their masculine power in relation to imagined feminine powerlessness. However, Aisha's transformation from a helpless victim into a graceful source of light in the dark camp is an act to destroy masculine power, the masculine power of Rohingya soldiers and traffickers. But Aisha had to bear the brunt of this agency and autonomy, which is depicted in an incident when the guard who rapes Aisha repeatedly drags her out of his tent by her hair, screaming about, how is it possible that a revolting Bengali can carry his child? He kicks Aisha in the abdomen over and over again, suggesting occupation of her, Rohingya woman's womb. After a few minutes of constant beating and torture, Aisha dies in front of her sister. And when Amina requests to bury the dead body of her sister, a guard tells her Aisha is not even entitled to a burial because pigs don't deserve a send-off. At this point in the narrative, Amina jolts her reader once again by asking, if this is not a Holocaust, what is? Amina's question chimes with Mayu Ali's poem Holocaust, which is worth quoting here. Is this the earth? Am I seeing the Holocaust? These creatures, gaunt, dented, emaciated, food alone satiate their hunger. This hunger is not for food, but for dignity, self-respect, and identity. But sadly, there is no end to a Rohingya's suffering. Darkness has a way of creeping into the camp, and given her vulnerability as a Rohingya woman, Amina is now forced into another kind of sexual violence, sex trafficking. Another genocidal strategy to rid Rohingyas of their freedom, dignity, and sexual autonomy. A few days later, after Aisha's death, some human traffickers from Thailand sold Amina's life, dignity, freedom, and autonomy in $20 to a Thai family, where she becomes a little rape doll, ready to be abused, harassed, and humiliated because Rohingya slaves have no names, no identities, no histories. Amina's voice is just a small, albeit a powerful gesture to undo a dominant genealogy of invisibility and mutability surrounding the Rohingya's crisis. However, her readers respond to this call is a moot point. Sharing Amina's responsibility of exposing atrocities committed by the Burmese government, Mayueli, a Rohingya poet who had spent 4 years in Cox's Bazar, the world's largest refugee camp in Bangladesh, chose to become a spokesperson for his community through his poetry. Ali's poetry also gives voice to the sexual violence experienced by little Rohingya girls. For example, his poem Trafficking echoes Amina's urge to break the silence surrounding women's fleshy, mutilated, and abused bodies. The traffickers detained me without food for days. I was sold 7 times in 3 months. I became a refugee in several countries, but I'm not a citizen of any country. I belong to somewhere, nowhere on this earth, yet I'm taken everywhere against my will. Ali's poem is emphatic and jolting in its effect because it is based on the account of trafficking survivor in Malaysia. In fact, every poem in this collection is written in the memory of a tragic incident that have happened to Rohingyas, highlighted in the form of footnotes, reminding the reader that he's not just making things up, giving voice to those silent histories and real-life traumatic events. Ali's collection cannot be seen to have offered an alternative perspective on Rohingya crisis as compared to narratives perpetuated by mainstream media, but to have humanized the dehumanized subjectivities of Rohingyas. By mapping the lives of the real victims in his poetry, Ali moves beyond the marginalized Rohingyas to the center of the page, envisaging that the reader would be able to establish a more intimate connection with the poet and the victims. In other words, writing about a specific loss turns out to be a more powerful reading about the loss in general. I would like to conclude my talk by quoting a poem by Ali that sums up the entire history of Rohingyas. Not the scene of a Hollywood movie, nor sequence of a best-selling fiction. Gang rape, slaughter, mass grave, burning life. The world is too brave to watch us being killed. No use of chemical weapons, nor the blast of atom bombs. We are being killed one after the other, not only by bullets, by the silence of the world, by the silence of the world. The Rohingyas have started to speak for themselves. Will indifferent spectators speak out for them? Thank you.
Thank you. Our heartfelt Professor Anushka Kanwal, uh, for her thought-provoking talk. Her discussion has provided us with a valuable perspective and deepened our understanding of this critical issue. We are truly grateful for her time, expertise, and contributions to this conference. Moving forward, we are honored to welcome our chief guest, Professor Dr. Shahina Ayub Bhatti. Dr. Shahina is a distinguished professor of English at Foundation University, School of Sciences and Technology, Rawalpindi, Pakistan. She holds a PhD in English from National University of Modern Languages, Islamabad, and completed her postdoc research in American Indian Studies at University of Arizona, USA, as a Fulbright scholar. With an extensive academic career spanning several decades, Dr. Shahina has taught a wide range of courses at undergraduate, graduate, and doctoral levels, including literary theory, American literature, ecocentrism, and discourse studies. She has supervised numerous MPhil and PhD dissertations and contributed significantly to curriculum development, academic leadership in various institutions. She has an impressive research profile with multiple publications in national and international journals, as well as several authored, edited books in the field of literary studies. Her research interests include narrative Native American literature, gender studies, post-colonial studies, and critical discourse analysis. In addition to her teaching and research contributions, she has held key administrative and leadership roles, including Director of the Women Research and Resource Center at Fatma Jannah Women University, and has actively participated in national and international conferences as a keynote speaker, panel chair, and invited guest. She is delivering her talk from the UK. where it is 5 a.m. in the morning. We are truly thankful to you for being part of this conference. And today her talk is titled Cross-disciplinary Research, the way forward and how it is to be achieved. Please join the session and benefit from her invaluable insights.
Let me start by thanking the organizers at Rifa International University, Dr. Abdul Hamid, Dr. Abdullah, and particularly Dr. Shamim Ali, who wouldn't let me back out, even though I said, it's going to be a little early for me to present, but I'm grateful for this opportunity. My talk is going to be a little casual. But I would welcome questions at the end. Let me share my screen so that my PowerPoint is visible.
Switch on your light.
Can you see my slides now?
Yes, Dr. Shahina, we can see.
Are you able to see my slides?
Yes, Dr. Shahina, the slides are visible to everyone.
All right. Your voice has gone down. Let me increase my volume. Anyway, right. So without further ado, I'm going to launch into my PowerPoint presentation. There are images, of course, that I have taken from the internet, and a few quotes also. But behind all of this is my innermost feeling that the time has come when we need to realize the importance of cross-disciplinary research, and how we are to go forward with this. Where cross-disciplinary research projects have worked, again, these are images of the internet. And the first one is that of the Human Genome Project, the Mars Rover Project, the Human Brain Project, and the Large Hadron Collider. Now, the reason why it is essential for us to recognize the importance of cross-disciplinary research is that it is essential for complex and multifaceted issues that cannot be solved in one field alone. And to explain two of the examples that I gave above, the Human Genome Project unites biologists, computer scientists, engineers, and mathematicians, while the Mars Rover Project brought together cross-disciplinary research in the form of engineering, astrobiology, geology, and data science. To come closer to my own field, that is literature, we have already seen how one discipline interacts with another in the form of, if we start from the very basis of the literature that we study, we have the Oedipus complex and Freud and Jung arguing over how it impacts Shakespeare's Hamlet. Because Freud believed that Hamlet holds an unconscious desire for his mother and jealousy towards his father, procrastination and, excuse me, the ultimate tragic ending. Another field that has come up in the past couple of decades is the intersection of trauma and literary studies. We have had a few researchers, even in my area, working on trauma and literary studies. And the reason why it has come up is, again, what we see around us impacts us to such a huge extent that we cannot but be impressed by the significance of the various forms of trauma and how it impacts us. And since to the literature of the time, we have to realize and recognize the importance that other disciplines holds for us. We keep on reiterating the fact that other disciplines are important, and yet when it comes to ground realities, we see that a lot of the times our researchers and our writers are, if not actively discouraged, they are hindered and obstructed by going into other fields and allowing the influence and the impact to be felt on literary studies. One of the fields that has come up in the recent past is the field of medical humanities, in the form of the representation of illness and disability in literature and the arts, and the ethical and social implications of new medical technologies, the history of medicine and disease, the experience of illness and caregiving, and the role of culture in shaping health beliefs and practices. And in fact, trauma studies also can be brought under the field of medical humanities. Another field that has again been much researched on, and I want to acknowledge the contribution of Professor, and that is literature and the environment. The environment impacts us in many different ways that we do not even think about sometimes. And climate fiction, which is a dominant genre, has been analyzed by critics and explores potential futures, often featuring dystopian landscapes or focusing on the human, non-human relationships. You have books that have been written on it, and I've given you names of just a few of them here to give you an idea of how much has been written. And of course, a lot of them are being translated into the genre of films, for the simple reason that a lot of than spend time in reading the book. And so film producers and film directors have translated some of the most popular books in this subgenre into films. And they have been very successful films. The Revenant is one of them. And it's just that, and Killers of the Flower Moon, of course, the story of the Native American tribe and the creation of FBI. These are films and books that have been of particular interest to all those who follow and who are concerned about the impact that the environment is having on us, and how this idea can be passed on to the general public, because environmentalists, when they sit amongst themselves, are able to understand the underlying concerns. But the easiest way that this can be communicated to the general public is through the publication of books. And of course, even more so, through the production of films. So there are many issues, that are related to the climate. There's deforestation. There is glaciers that are melting, and the long-term impact that is going to have on our future generations. There is always the oil issue, and I'm sure you must have all seen those memes that are coming up now, where you try to minimize your footprint, and then you have the superpowers and the who have I would say polluted our airspaces and wars, leading us to understand how there are other sides to the ongoing wars than just the sale of weapons. There is, of course, the consumption of all that fuel, and how that maximizes the footprint of certain countries as far as atmospheric and environmental pollution are concerned. And we don't realize that it is not only polluting the air, it is also polluting the ground, because after all, those weapons and that are used, the ammunition, it ultimately lands on the ground and becomes a part of our earth. So that is an aspect that we need to focus on more and more, because we are living in a polluted environment. But what are we leaving for our future generations? And the answer is that it's an even more polluted environment. So one of the issues that has been that have been very close to my heart is the South Dakota Access Pipeline, because it brings together Native American studies and Native American literature in particular with the concerns of the degradation of the climate and the environment. And just this one issue brought together many different disciplines. And you have documentaries that have been produced on it, you have books that have been written on it, and the tribe won this issue in the court of law. And the South Dakota Access Pipeline, which was proposed and which was planned to pass through Native American burial grounds, and was going to impact the waterways, was brought to a stop by the court of law. And so that is something that is of crucial importance when we study research, or when we conduct research that is not just restricted to one discipline, but is cross-disciplinary, and where you need to have knowledge of several different disciplines. Of course, like everything else, it is going to come with its problems. And a few of the challenges have been put on this slide. There are communication barriers. For example, when people from literature start talking about the environment, the environmentalists often have this objection of what literature can contribute to the environment. And so we, the literature people, have to convince them that this is how you get the general public to know about the issues. And goals there are time and resource constraints because environmentalists, for example, or people who deal with legal studies often think that literature is a rather indirect way of approaching the problem, but the indirect way sometimes is more successful than if you were to hit someone on the head with it. There are institutional barriers, and this is something that we as supervisors and researchers often encounter, where you will see that will object to the use of, let's say, theoretical frameworks from one discipline crossing over into another discipline. And there are always intellectual property issues that come up and that obstruct the path of research. Of course, there are no hard and fast rules as to how cross-disciplinary research is to be conducted, but a few of these have been given in this slide. Chiefly, the need to identify common goals and objectives, to develop a shared vocabulary, because, and I take this opportunity to underline the fact that the hardcore sciences people often have this habit of using vocabulary, lexical items, which would be very hard for the layperson to understand. And so it is very necessary that we need to create a team from many different disciplines. And I'll give you the example of one of the projects that we Norwegian Church Aid, which was related to climate change. And as I brought in our colleagues from the environmental sciences department at Fatma Jinnah, and we managed to complete this project, which was thought to be too cumbersome because it involved so many. All of this can be done if we foster open communication, which of course is essential for any research that is to be done, and particularly project-related research. There is a need to establish clear roles and responsibilities, without which no project can be completed. We had talks by Professor Shaban and Professor Basima Shehzad, which related to how technology is being used and how this use can be improved to conduct research. The same technology can be used to facilitate collaboration, and particularly collaboration as it is necessary for cross-disciplinary research. With that, I come to the end of my talk. If there are any questions, I would love to answer them, although it is a little early for me, but since I am awake, I might as well go into the whole hog. Once again, thank you very much for having me as chief guest and for allowing me to deliver this talk. Thank you to Rifa University.
Thank you very much, Dr. Shahina. We extend our sincere gratitude to you for her enlightening and inspiring presentation. Your thoughts provided us with guidance on advancing research across disciplines and enriched our understanding of effective academic collaboration. We are truly thankful for your time to this conference. And yes, as you told us that you are in UK now and it's early in the morning time. So we have one question for you from the audience. So please over to to Dr. Satyan.
Assalamu alaikum, ma'am. I hope I'm audible to you, ma'am.
Dr. Shahina, can you listen?
Yes. Do you see any
Like AI is actually killing the creativity and all these sort of things. So, and literature, as far as I know, is all about imaginations and creativity. So, how do you see the future of AI and literature? Thank you.
in voice? So as far
Of AI is going to be in literature. Is that so?
Like how do you see the future of AI and literature merger? For example, these two are going to be distinct disciplines. So is there any future? Do we see any merger of AI and literature?
I don't know if we would call it a merger. I would consider it collaboration, because AI is a tool, and a tool is only as effective as the hand that wields it, as the brain behind it. So I see AI being used to foster creativity and not to kill it. I know that this is a point of discussion that has been going around for the last few years, especially. But I believe that AI will be ultimately used. We only have to have an open mind to accept it. Right now, the feeling is that AI is killing creativity, if not undermining it totally. But I have a firm belief that ultimately it will be used in literature, and we already have examples of that. AI is what we called sci-fi not too very long ago. And we have seen how that time has passed. What was believed to be sci-fi is the reality of today. So I think that AI will ultimately help literature in many ways. Vocabulary that it brings to you, in the ideas that it brings to you. Basically, it is whatever is thought throughout the world. And so it is just easier access to ideas and to vocabulary, which is absolutely necessary if you are going to create. I hope that satisfies you.
Yeah, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Shahina, once again. Dear audience, we are moving to your session. We are honored to invite our conference chair, Professor Dr. Ali Setwal. Professor Dr. Ali Setwal is a distinguished social scientist of international repute and the founding Vice Chancellor of Louvain International University. He holds a PhD from Temple University, USA, and has held numerous academic leadership positions, both nationally and internationally, including serving as Vice President of International Islamic University, Islamabad, as the founding Dean of the Faculty of Revealed Knowledge and Human Sciences at Islamic International University, Malaysia. Professor Dr. Ahmad has also served as President and Secretary General of Association of Muslim Social Scientists USA, and is a fellow of the University of Science, Malaysia. He's a prolific scholar whose writing on contemporary social, political, and cultural issues have appeared in renowned publications such as Oxford Encyclopedia of Modern Muslim World, New York, Encyclopedia of Islam, Istanbul, Encyclopedia of Islamic Economy, London, and the Muslim World Book Review, UK. Today, he is delivering his closing remarks on the topic Islamic Perspective in English Literature. We warmly invite everyone to welcome Professor Dr. Ali Ahmed to share his reflections and conclude their insights with us.
To welcome distinguished guests from Pakistan and overseas, and I'm glad to see that at least from over 14 friendly countries we have participation. We have people participating from Morocco, from Nigeria, from Russia, from Saudi Arabia, Indonesia, Iraq, Jordan, Malaysia, and Singapore, and other parts. And at the same time, we have participation from universities all over the country. The topic you have selected that relates with linguistics invites people to think, what is the role of language and linguistics in development of culture? I believe linguistic studies owe a lot to this continent. Although English speaks for a region, a territory that is known as England. But linguistics was born not in England, not in America, but in Calcutta. Go and read history and you will find that first attempt to define what is linguistics and what its role was done in Calcutta. Then, what is its scope? Linguistics relates not only with what is language, but what is culture? What is society? What are norms and values? How a language becomes communicative of a culture and values? Or is it a child of culture? From E.B. Tyler till most modern sociologists and social linguistics, there are theories offered and people subscribe to those theories. I believe all these terms like culture, society, development, these have to be re-examined and revisited. We have lived for over 2 centuries under borrowed ideas, borrowed concepts, and imported meanings. English language has a strange link with us. It's a relationship of love and hate. Every second family in Pakistan loves their child to talk in good English. Those who are influenced by British accent, they want their child to say schedule. Those who love American accent, they want to see their child say schedule. And when they see these outcomes, they feel very happy. And both are enslaved. Both live in a culture which is borrowed, not their own culture. Because every language brings a vocabulary, and that vocabulary speaks about their social behavior. When someone invites someone and says, let's have dinner together, then a person who only knows English by reading books may think dinner means maybe 7 p.m., 6 p.m., 8 p.m., they will meet somewhere and have food. But if this person is in America, it means lunch, not evening. If someone says, let's go for supper, then common understanding is that it's going to be an evening food, but supper is not just a word. Supper means when Sayyidina Jesus was having food with his fellows, and then he was going to disappear. It has an etymology. It has a history. Every single word of English language is loaded with culture, values, and history. That means I love to see my students and teachers use best English language in their discourses, in their writings. But I will not like to see them mentally slave to a culture. English language should not continue to colonize us, but we need to decolonize English language. Analyze those concepts, share those with students, and let them understand their own culture while you are having a discourse in English. That's not an easy task. It requires thorough understanding of what's the meaning of culture, what's Pakistan, what's the meaning of Anglicization, and what kind of behavioral impact it will make. Therefore, I believe those who deal with linguistics and those who disseminate to their students what is form criticism, what is detection criticism, what is lyric criticism, how you analyze content, how you want to redaction criticism, and so on and so forth. All these aspects which are very technical, they need to be tackled with not only borrowed material from that discipline. Redaction criticism, if taught by a British teacher or one with British mind, or form criticism by someone who has been trained in France, or literary by someone who has been trained in UCLA or McGill University or somewhere else, is not going to be an objective dissemination of that knowledge. I think you have a big responsibility to teach language and literature and linguistics, but let students come out and let teachers come out of that intellectual colonialism which has been embedded in language and which has been absorbed and synergized in the thinking processes, in feelings, in expression of feelings, in literary writings, in novel, in poetry, in everything in the English language in Pakistan. Nepal and many others try to liberate themselves from their English background.
But I doubt how they would succeed. I just took one more random man of high standing in English literature and language. So I hope that our participants of the conference will look on issues critically out of the box, and at the same time try to understand values are not local. Culture is not something indigenous, but Islamic culture, which we stand for, is based on universal values, and these values need to impact on teaching of English language, German, French, any language. Unless we convey our values in that teaching, it is deficient, and we are promoting colonization. What we need to do is do full justice to that language, its history, its literature, its contribution, but at the same time, use that language as medium of communication for a different set of values, a different concept of worldview, a different concept of life. When we say comfortable life, what does it mean? Does comfort mean a 5-acre villa with swimming pool, with Ferrari, with BMW? Or it means even a small home, but with peace of mind, peace of soul, with creativity, with love and compassion, with sacrifice, with contribution to society. Therefore, language has to become the vehicle of our values, our culture, and not the so-called Eastern culture, Western culture, or any other culture. If that is done, then we can create a tradition in linguistics which will be not only cherished in this part of the world, but others will come to learn from us. I want to see our Department of Language and Literature as a leader in linguistics and not just a follower of what is done in Brisbane or what is done in Chicago or what's done in Oxford or Cambridge and Princeton. All these borrowed ideas need to be reviewed, revisited, and our own contribution need to be made. I have my best prayers for success of the conference. I hope we will have many fruitful discussions, debates, and disagreements, and ultimately it will lead us to a better understanding of English language and culture. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Professor Dr. Anis, for your profound talk, for gracing this event with your presence. As we conclude the inaugural session of ICAL 2026, we extend our heartfelt gratitude to all our esteemed keynote speakers, presenters, panelists, and participants for their invaluable contributions. Thank you for your participation and support. We look forward to your continued engagement in the upcoming sessions of ICAL 2026. We will now take a 30-minute tea break. After the break, the first section of the conference will continue as scheduled. Stay tuned and bye from my side for now. See you all shortly. Take care.